Hey everyone, how's it going? Now I'm looking at this video, my hat's a little crooked, but oh well, it works. I'm out doing a little ruck today. Got my new Go Ruck vest that I got for Christmas, or backpack that I got for Christmas. So really enjoying that. That's a story for another time. I got a interesting question from someone the other day, which really was a great question, and I think probably something that I hope everyone gets to this point with their health and fitness journey. And so I wanted to just share my answer with them in the question. And so they asked me, they had done a really good job with their weight loss goal. They had lost, I think, they said they lost 50 pounds, which is fantastic. That's amazing. And they've gotten to a point with their weight where they feel comfortable with their body weight, but they want to now focus on building muscle. And I think that this is an excellent plan for everyone who has a weight loss goal. I think hopefully everyone gets to achieve their weight loss goal and they get to the point where they are satisfied with their body weight, but they kind of want to alter their body composition and add more muscle to their body. And I think that this is traditionally a goal that's, thought to be more focused towards men, but I think it's a great goal for anyone regardless of their sex, especially I think it's more important for females, because ideally what you want to do is, as a female, is put on as much muscle as you possibly can before you reach menopause, when it's going to become extremely important for things like bone density and overall muscle mass, because the shift in hormones that happens at that point in a female's life makes it much harder to build and maintain muscle. So you want to build as much muscle reserve as you possibly can before that point. So that's a whole other story that I'm woefully unqualified to speak to anyways, but just want to throw that out there anyways. They asked me what they should do now, right? What are the next steps they should take in order to start adding muscle and kind of, getting out of this weight loss mindset. And I think the weight loss mindset, the first thing that you need to do is kind of prepare yourself, because it is a different mindset. It's a different way of thinking. For some people to lose 50 pounds may take quite a bit of time. It may take several years for someone to get to that point. And they've been in this weight loss mindset for a long period of time. And frankly, they're probably quite afraid of, shifting the way they're eating and potentially adding more weight to their body. And so the first thing I think everyone should do that wants to make this change of direction is to really mentally prepare yourself for what you're about to embark on, right? And I'm not trying to make this sound scary or anything like that, but it is going to require you changing the way you're eating more food, feeling more full, and potentially seeing the scale actually go up a little bit. Now, we'll talk a little bit about the scale a little bit later, but the goal here is to add muscle mass. So that intrinsically means that the scale is going to increase. So you need to be prepared, if you're going to use the scale, for that number to go up, and realize that that's what it's supposed to do. That is your goal. So that's number one, is really prepare yourself from both mentally from a way of eating, shift your mindset from maybe a scarcity mindset around food to a more abundance mindset. Prepare the fact that you're going to feel differently eating. Your plates are going to look different. The types of foods that you're going to eat are maybe different. And that will take time. That mental adjustment is going to take a little bit of time, especially if you've been at this weight loss thing for quite a bit of time. So that's step number one. Step number two is you're going to need to find a great resistance training program. So in order to build muscle mass, you need to challenge your body, challenge your muscles. And so everyone's going to start from a different place when it comes to resistance training. For some people, doing what I'm doing right now, going for a ruck with weight on your back, will build muscle, because they're literally not used to doing any resistance training. For most people, this is probably not going to build much muscle. I'd say it's not other benefits, but again, different story for another time. But for some people, it might be, you might need to You know, you can use bands in a TRX, for example, to build muscle. Some people, you might need to use a barbell, dumbbells, because that's just what you like to do. You might prefer to use a TRX. You might prefer to use bands. You might prefer to use a combination of things. You can build muscle with a variety of different tools, but ultimately it comes down to just challenging your body. You need to challenge your muscles. You need to overload them, is the term that we usually use. They need to be challenged in a way that they were not challenged before. And that sends the signal to your body like, okay, this guy or this girl is doing something that's really hard, and I need to adapt and build muscle so that it's not as hard anymore. And so that's the signal that we want to send. So a good resistance training program is a good place to start. Now, what is a good resistance training program? There's a number of them out there. I have a very basic one that you can get started to, that I'll link to, get started with, that I'll link to in this video. But besides that, there's a number of good ones out there. I also really like the programs from Mind Pump. The guys at Mind Pump, they put out really good stuff. I have several of their programs, and all of them are excellent. They have ones for all different kinds of demographics too. So whether you're a complete beginner or you're very familiar with resistance training, doing it for a long time, they have a program that's right for you and where you're at. They have bands, they have TRX programs, they have all kinds of different things, right? Dumbbell only, dumbbell and barbells, all kinds of different stuff, and they're reasonably priced. These programs, you get videos, it goes through different phases. Most of their programs are like 3 to 4 months long, so it's a good chunk of time. So that would be another place I would look for a good resistance training program. Now, to complement the resistance training, in order to build muscle, you need protein, and you need the right amino acids and an adequate amount of amino acids, which are just proteins, in order to build muscle. You need to be eating enough protein. And of course, like anything in nutrition, there's a lot of debate as to what is quote unquote enough. And so what I like to tell people, to be a little bit more aggressive than conservative on this, is to eat around 1 gram per pound of body weight, or that's 2.2 grams per kilogram if you're using kilograms. And I should say ideal body weight. So this is, we're talking about someone who has reached their ideal body weight and now wants to build muscle, is your body weight. If you weigh 150 pounds, you're going to eat 150 grams of protein. Now that's probably more than you need. I will admit that, but it's better to have more than less in this case. That's why I use that formula. It's simple, doesn't require math, and it makes sure that you're getting more than enough than what you need. Now, just to address the topic of more than enough that you need, yes, you can eat more protein than you need, and it will not be detrimental to your health unless you have an existing condition with your kidneys. I'm not a doctor. Please consult your doctor. Please talk to them about any dietary modifications that you're making. But in most scenarios, unless you have an existing issue with your kidneys, eating more protein than you need should be completely fine. But again, not a doctor. Please talk to your physician and make sure that you're not going to do any harm to your body. So that's step number 2. So first step, good resistance training program. Second step, eating enough protein. Now the last piece, and this is in order of importance. The number one most important thing that you're going to do is going to resistance train. The second most important thing that you got to do is eat enough protein. And the third thing, most important thing you need to do, for most people, you're going to need to eat in a caloric surplus. Now, this is going to be the most challenging spot for the person that is in the demographic that they've been losing weight for, trying to lose weight, get to their ideal body weight for several years now. Because now, for the past several years, you've been only thinking about how little food that you can eat and still lose weight, and really trying to micromanage the food that you're eating so that your weight continues to trend down. You've been in a caloric deficit, obviously, if you reach your goal for the past months or years even. And now I'm telling you that you need to actually reverse course and eat more food than you actually need. And that can be scary, right? What if I put the weight back on? What if it goes up to building body fat, etc., etc., etc. So I realize this is a gigantic mental hurdle, and it's something you're just going to have to get used to. You can try to build muscle in a caloric deficit, but frankly, you don't need to be in a caloric deficit anymore because you ideally have hit your ideal body weight. So that's the first thing. You can try and build muscle at maintenance. Can you build muscle at maintenance? Yeah, I think you can. Is it going to be as efficient as building muscle in a caloric surplus? No, it's not going to be, right? Because your body needs to create this tissue, this muscle, from something. And if it doesn't have enough of the building blocks of muscle, i.e. calories, to build new tissue, then it's not going to be able to do that. So you could be doing all the resistance training you want, you could be eating enough protein, etc., but it doesn't have enough material inside the body to actually build the muscle or enough energy to create the muscle. And where do we get the material and the energy from? Your calories. So if it doesn't have enough, then it's going to not do it. It literally can't do it. The most efficient thing you can do if you want to build muscle, is to actually eat in a caloric surplus. So you're going to be eating more calories than you actually need. Now, the idea is that because you're resistance training and you're being active, doing things like I'm doing, going for a walk, those extra calories are not going to be stored as body fat, but they're going to be transformed into the muscle that you're trying to build. That means that you should not be afraid of eating more calories, eating excess, because the idea is that those calories, because of the resistance training, are going to go into building muscle. Now, this gets us to the thing that I was talking about, the scale. So a lot of people that have been lose body fat will weigh themselves, obviously, to know that they're losing body fat. And they're used to always trying to see that number on the scale go down. And now, when they start eating more food and trying to build muscle, that number is going to go up. Now, why is that going to happen? The first thing, and the most logical thing, is you're eating more food, so there's going to be more food inside your body, and that's just going to make the scale go up regardless, right? It's not body fat, it's not muscle. It's just the fact that you literally have more food stored inside your body, in your stomach, and that's making you weigh more in the morning. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, like I said in the beginning of this video, you're trying to build muscle. So that means you're adding tissue to your body. That means that the scale is going to go up if you are achieving your goal. So realize that the scale will go up. It inevitably will go up if you're doing all the right things. It is a good sign that the scale goes up. Now, what should it go up? Just like when you're losing weight, you look at a rolling average of weight loss, because sometimes the scale goes down, sometimes it goes up, sometimes it stays the same, sometimes it will do these things for several days or weeks at a time. But if you average things out over the course of months and years, you see this trend downward. Same thing with building muscle. You need to be patient. You need to give it time, because sometimes the scale will go up, sometimes it'll go down, sometimes it'll stay the same. But ideally, over the course of several months and years, you'll start to see this trend up. Now, I also suggest that you take photos, because it's much easier to see your body transform as far as adding muscle, right? You can see, oh, my arms look a little bigger, or I can see more definition here or there, and that's a good thing. The other thing is that measurements are a good thing, because the scale can go up, but oh, my waist measurement is the same. My pants fit exactly the same as they did before, even though the scale's up 5 pounds, right? That's a sign that you've added muscle to your body without increasing body fat. Use a scale, but use an average. Use pictures, use measurements. It's all the same stuff that we talk about with weight loss, applies to gaining muscle, right? Use those tools to verify and confirm the trend that you're seeing on the scale. Now, how many more calories should you actually eat in a surplus, right? Well, it's like this, like weight loss. Like if I'm gonna advise someone on weight loss, I want them to be maybe in a let's say 200 to 400 calorie deficit, maybe 200 to 500 calorie deficit, depending on how much weight they have to lose. Same rough numbers for people who are trying to gain muscle, right? I want you to be in a 200 to 400 calorie surplus, let's say. In the beginning, I'd keep it relatively conservative, say just a little 200 calories, and go with that and see how things trend over the several weeks and months. And if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you can go up to 400 calories, 500 calories, etc. Right? I would say the more aggressive you are, the greater chance you have of adding body fat as well as muscle. If you want to be more aggressive, you can be more aggressive. That's cool too. Now, lastly, the other question that people are going to have is where do those calories come from? Do they come from carbs or fats, right? Because protein is fixed, right? It's 150, whatever your body weight in grams of protein, right? Where do the extra calories come from? Do they come from carbs or fats? Doesn't matter. It could be all of one, it could be all of the other, it could be a combination of both. Whatever you want, whatever your preference is. Now, I will admit that my bias is that more of those calories come from carbs. And the reason being because most people tend to find that carbs give them a little bit more energy, and that means that if they add those carbs in and around their workouts, that they're able to put in a little bit more work. And since we're trying to use resistance training to build muscle, it's ideal that you can train harder using those extra carbs for energy and increase your chances of building more muscle, right? Or doing it more efficiently. So that's my bias, is that most of those calories that you add come from carbs in and around your workouts to facilitate more intense workouts, to facilitate building more muscle, and to also recovering a little bit better. But if you don't do well with carbs and you want to add those calories from fat, and that's what makes you feel the best, that's completely fine too, right? Doesn't really matter. You can pick the split of where those extra calories come from. It's up to you. Doesn't particularly matter. All it's important is you get the calories. That's basically the outline of how I would advise someone who needs to transition from weight loss to building muscle. They've reached their goal. They now want to add more muscle to their body, and that is the steps I would suggest you follow. So obviously I'll review this here first. First, you're going to find a good resistance training program that challenges your muscles. That could be using dumbbells and barbells. It could be using a TRX. It could be using bands, whatever. As long as it's challenging your muscles, that's good. Second, you're going to make sure you're eating enough protein, around 1 gram per pound of body weight, or 2.2 grams per pound per kilogram, if you're using a metric system. And lastly, you want to be in a slight caloric surplus, around 200 to 400 calories. And you can get those calories and they can come from wherever, carbs or fats. Hope you find that video useful. Like I said, I hope everyone has to reference this video at some point, because I think everyone should be transitioning from a fat loss phase to a muscle building phase. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Happy to answer them. Also, I do have some one-on-one coaching spots available. If you need help doing this, I'd be happy to help out and get you to your muscle building goals. You can go to my website, rjbhealth.coach, click on the schedule discovery call button, fill out the form, and we can chat a little bit more about that. Or you can just direct message me and we can chat a little bit more about that. Hope everyone